It was with the Bethesda Evangelical Mission, and it was the most amazing experience of my life, and I'm about to become a churchgoer. All week long, people said, do your best and let Jesus do the rest.
That's right.
So I need to talk to you today about breast cancer, and I need to talk to you today about breast cancer for women of color, because breast cancer in women of color is different. In the general population, breast cancer happens about 8% of the time, and when it happens 8% of the time, it happens to women over the age of 60. But that's not true for women of color. For women of color, most breast cancer happens before the age of 45. Now, they tell you to start doing mammograms when you're 40. But by the time women of color are 40, many of them have had breast cancer already. And when they get diagnosed with breast cancer, they get diagnosed with breast cancer that's spread to other places in their body, and that's not curable. So what you need to know is that you need to take care of yourselves. The majority of breast cancers in women of color are not affected by female hormones. You might not think that's a big deal, but they're much harder to treat, and they're much more likely to spread. In all women, about 95% of them are alive, well, and cancer-free in 5 years. But in women of color, only 70% are alive, well, and cancer-free. So you need to get on this, and you need to get on it early. And you need to take care of yourselves. You need to do breast self-examination. I have some breast self-examination cards here that show you exactly how to do it. Men, you're not off the hook here, because in an adult relationship, you could be the one that finds a lump. And if you find something that feels unusual, you need to let your woman know. You need to have as much responsibility in this as she does. You also need to check yourselves, men, because 2,000 men a year, 1,600 of them, men of color, get breast cancer. Men never think about that. They never check themselves, but once a month, when you're in the shower and you're all soaked up, you need to feel for any lumps that you might feel. Women, when you're in the shower, the same thing. When you're feeling, you need to feel under your arms, too, because that's sometimes where lumps occur. You also need to feel all the way up to your collarbones. There's breast tissue all the way up there, and that's what a lot of women don't think about. So you need to do this once a month. On those cards I gave you, there's little check boxes on the side. And on every one of those, you need to do this once a month. You don't need to do it every day, but you need to do it once a month. And you need to do it about 10 days after your cycle starts. You don't want to be doing it right around the time of your cycle, the beginning of your cycle, because you're going to feel lumps and bumps then, because that's the way breasts were made. That's what they're supposed to do. But you definitely need to take care of yourself, because nobody else is going to do it. I know the economic times aren't good, and a lot of people don't have insurance. But the state has a program called the Connecticut Breast and Cervical Early Detection Program. And every woman who's eligible, every woman without insurance, who has no insurance or doesn't have insurance that covers screening, can get a free mammogram. They can also get a free pap smear, and a free pap smear can keep you from getting cervical cancer. It's really important that we can cure cancers, but it's much more important that we can prevent them. And we can prevent them by being there early, to have pap smears, to have mammograms. If you're 30, it doesn't make any sense to have a mammogram, because when they do a mammogram on you, they can't really see anything, because your breasts are really dense. In the past year, they made this rule that if you have really dense breasts, that you have to have, or you should have, an ultrasound after a mammogram so they can see what's going on in your breast. If you have a mammogram and you get a letter to that effect, you need to follow up with it. In our hospital, and we're a little hospital, we had 6 women diagnosed this year that never would have known with a mammogram alone. So you really need to do everything that they suggest you do. But for young women and young African American and black women who have these issues, you need to do your breast self-examination and you need to take care of yourself. Men, African American men, you're much more likely to get prostate cancer and colon cancer. In the month of September, there's free prostate screenings all over the state. Call the Department of Health and they can tell you where they are. And colon cancer, the Department of Health in the state of Connecticut now has a program to give any man over 50 a free colonoscopy if he doesn't have insurance. So make sure you take advantage of those programs. Also, the #1 killer of all people is heart disease. And the state now has a program where they screen for heart disease too. These are all free programs. They're all available to people who don't have insurance. So make sure you take advantage of these programs because that's what they're there for. We need to take care of ourselves because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it.
That's right.
Absolutely. And this needs to be a partnership. So every woman here, you should have a breast buddy. You should have somebody that you check with once a month to make sure they've done their breast self-examination. And when you go to have a mammogram, you need to make sure that your friends have mammograms too. So decide who your breast buddy is and make sure that you go out and that you take care of yourself. Women of color have less breast cancer as they get older, which is really a good thing. But you need to be there on top of young breast cancers because they're harder to treat and they're more aggressive. And there's too many women who are dying. If you live in a family where a lot of people have breast cancer, if you have a first-degree relative with breast cancer, that's your mother, your sister, or your daughter. It's your father, your brother, or your son. If any of those people in your family have breast cancer, then you're at higher risk. And you need to find out if you might have a genetic problem that puts you even more at risk. 8% of women get breast cancer, but when you have a genetic mutation, 85% of those women get breast cancer. And in an African American family, if there's breast cancer under the age of 40, there's a 1 in 5 chance, 20% chance that people will have a mutation. If you have that mutation, there's things you can do. There's medication you can take that's preventative, and there's surgery that you can have that's going to reduce your risk. But if you don't know what your risk is, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So I just want to wrap up and let you get back to your fun and tell you how much I appreciate being here in front of all of you tonight. And I want to thank Georgie for inviting me.
She does. I didn't point you out. There's a woman that's going to come back.
Okay.
And speak to you.
I'll be right over there.
Okay, let's give her a hand. On your way out, fellas, men get breast cancer as well. So on your way out, grab one of these because, yeah.
Hi. Welcome to the Big A. I'm late. I had a program. I'm sorry about that. But